Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tyvon Swain, aka the Orthodox Moor, coming at you on this beautiful weekend over here in the Pacific Northwest. I hope it's nice where you're at. If it's not, it's nice above the clouds. Just know that. Real quick, family, there's a real interesting topic I want to touch on today. There's an interesting video that I will link down below after this live stream is over, from a brother named Ronald Dalton. Please go check him out. He's a Hebrew Israelite brother who's involved with the concept of the books and DVDs, Hebrews to Negroes. I'll link his information down below. Y'all definitely go check him out. Very, very, very interesting brother. Very, very interesting project. Very, very interesting demonstration. If you're of Moorish and or Israelite descent, you should definitely go check out his works because they cross corroborate. If you're Moorish, there's a lot of stuff that confirms your concepts. If you're Israelite, there's definitely a lot of stuff that confirms your concepts. And what's nice is that you definitely get the full scope of both being in North and West Africa together at the same time. That being said, I was watching a video of his where he was going in on the Qur'an. And just to be clear, I'm a Moorish American Muslim of Israelite descent. So part of my family descends from North African Israelites. I also have no issue saying North African Jews. I actually try to reclaim that term. And when I tell people North African Israelites and North African Jews, they kind of look at me crazy, like, who's that? Because they've heard of like the Mizrahi, they've heard of Ashkenazi, they've heard of the Sephardim, but they have not heard of the Maghrebim. Maghrebim were the Israelites that were in Africa before they got into Spain. Before they got into Spain. So the Sephardim are Israelites and Jews that came out of Spain that are of a mixed European background, etc. whatnot. The Maghrebim are the people who went into Spain way beforehand with like the Barcid family. Like, for instance, one of my family names on my mother's side is Cordoba. Right? That's a city in Spain. That city, that name Cordoba, they currently say Cordova with the V. It used to be Cordoba with a B. Before that, in the Arabic, it was Kurtuba with a Q, right? And before that, it went back to a Phoenician word, Korteb, which means oil press. This goes back. This Phoenician concept goes back to when Carthage and when Phoenicia was pretty much running the Mediterranean and whatnot, particularly Carthage and whatnot. If for many of you who know history, you know about Hannibal Barca and the Barca family, right? Well, you know the name Barca, but some people don't pronounce it Barca. Some people pronounce it Barca. In Spain, the capital of Spain is Barcelona, right? It's called Barcelona because of the Barcid family who was over in Spain running things at the time. In fact, when you go check the history on it, Carthage kind of became a power in the Mediterranean because it was able to extract a bunch of wealth, mineral wealth, etc., and trading wealth from Spain and whatnot, and kind of like set up Spain as its own outpost in colony, to where it was just making money, right? It was just making all kind of dough. And in that bit, you had Carthaginian Jews going over there with them, making the basis for what was there for when the Romans came through, etc., all that type of stuff, right? But these are the people who were there that when in 711 AD, when you have the Moors coming up, you have Tariq ibn Zayed coming up from the Senegambia. These are the Israelites that are opening up the doors of Toledo, etc., and fighting alongside the Moors, etc. And so, a lot of people know the term Sephardim, but what do you call them before they're Sephardim? What do you call the Israelites there before they get this concept of Sephardim? Because when you look at Sephardim, the Sephardim go back into, like, when they get expelled from Spain, they go into Africa and mix with an Israelite population that's already there. So what do you call the people that's already there? And again, just like history doesn't know the name Moors too well, like modern people don't understand who the Moors are too well. Modern people don't understand who the Maghrebim are. So I implore all my people all my Israelite brethren who go check out the Hebrews to Negroes concept, please go check out who the Maghrebim are, historically speaking. Because again, everything looks different now because of the Sephardim taking things over, right? They completely took over the North African game and all that type of stuff. Like the people who even descend from the Maghrebim don't even call themselves Maghrebim anymore. That's how crazy it is, right? Like it's its own, like, again, everything got drowned out by the Sephardim. Like you don't even hear Maghrebim mentioned in Israel, in modern Israel, right? They try not to mention them, right? Because who are they talking about? They're talking about us. And let me explain it to you like this, right? Like, so Spain a few years ago allowed for people of Jewish descent who were expelled from Spain to get citizenship back in Spain. And so my family looked into this, and as I was checking out the application process, I was shocked. There's something very similar to the concept of how Israel does things. So, for instance, if you're not a Talmudic Jew, like let's say you're a Philosopher, you're Ethiopian Jew, etc., right? And you want to go be a citizen of Israel, you have to convert to Talmudic Jew to become a citizen. They said the only way I could get citizenship back in the country is to claim being Sephardim and basically, if you're Moorish, you need not apply. So if you're Maghrebim, right, if you were a Moorish Jew, right, you don't need to apply. And that's the term I really want to focus on, is Moorish Jew. Maghrebim, Moorish Jew, same thing. Same. So there's a difference between the Moorish Jews and the Sephardim. For instance, my man was talking about, my man made a beautiful reference to the fact that, Ron Dahl made a beautiful reference to the fact that, that the Yoruba had a Torah that was partially in Moroccan Arabic, partially in Aramaic, and partially in the Yoruba language. This is extremely indicative of what I'm talking about, this Moorish Jew concept, because it's not an alien thing that you have a Jew writing in Moroccan Arabic, or a blend of Moroccan Arabic and Aramaic. There's the Judeo-Arabic concept and language all throughout Morocco and all throughout Al-Andalus, etc. And so if you have people being deported from Spain and they're going to these areas of West Africa and they have a Moroccan Arabic Torah, that's not something that should be understood as uncommon. Even when Harry Rosenberg was like, "Oh yeah, there was a strong," he had to capitulate to the concept of the fact that there was a strong Torah background in Al-Andalus and in Spain, which is the truth. So my name is Tyvon, Tyvon. It is an English rendition of a Hebrew name with a B, right? Tibbon, right? Tibon, right? And in fact, if you say my name in Spanish, it's Tibon. It's almost the same as in Hebrew, right? Similar Hebrew. There's just like there's 700 words of Arabic in Spanish. There's a lot of Hebrew in Spanish. And in fact, if you actually go look up the name, there's famous Israelite translators and scribes by this name, by Ibn Tibbon, right? Go check them out. Ibn Tibbon, right? This is what we did as Israelites in Al-Andalus with the Moors. We were translating and writing stuff all day. We were the linguists. We were taking stuff from this language and putting it in that language. We were scribing stuff all day long. And yes, we were scribing things in Arabic, scribing things in Hebrew, scribing things in Ladino, scribing things, all kind of stuff. We were taking stuff out of other languages, out of Greek into this language, out of Greek into that language. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. There was a mutual bond between the two, particularly for the first. And when I say two, I'm talking about the Moors and Israelites, particularly for the first 400 years in the Cordoba Caliphate. It switches up after that. I'm not gonna lie to you. After that, we get the Abbasids coming through, and we get these schools of jurisprudence, and this is a big point that I'm going to make, because in the video where Brother Ron Dalton goes against the Qur'an, and there's another one where he goes against the brother from the house Islamic House of Israel. I believe that's what it's called, Brother Kentron. He's a former debater in the SVDL debate league with me. He was coming at the Quran from the concepts of the Hadith. He was explaining the Quran and Islam from the concepts of Hadith and not the Quran itself. Now that's not something I fault Brother Ronald Dalton for, right? That's the fault of most Muslims on that one, because when most Muslims they present Islam to people, they present the Hadith and not necessarily the Quran. Whether you're Shia, whether you're Sunni, whether you're Sufi, all that type of stuff there. Most of the times when I converse with Muslims, they know more Hadith than they do Quran. So I don't fault the brother for that one. However, what I would say is this: look, the Islam that our people connected to and dealt with on a brotherly level in terms of like the Moors and the Israelites was an Islam that had nothing to do with the Hadith. And the schools of jurisprudence, i.e. like the Hanafi school of thought, the Shafi, like all the main Sunni schools of thought, right? These are the main schools most people think of, right? You can take the Sunni and Shia together, right? They're main people that they take their stuff from, right? With the Shia, for instance, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, right? And also with the Hanafi, right? Abu Hanifa. We're talking about like the oldest school of Sunni thought, right? My man's, both of them was 12 and 13 years old when the Moors took Spain and the Israelites opened up Toledo to them. I want you to understand. I'm going to say this one more time. The schools of jurisprudence were not around at the time. The schools of jurisprudence were not around at the time. So the Islam of West Africa, this is why the Islam in West Africa looks completely different than Islam everywhere else, period, right? For instance, in West Africa, the women give the dua while the men lead the prayer, right? In Saudi Arabia, the women will not lead the dua. This is a certain kind of like a protection kind of a prayer, kind of it's something done publicly. I'll just say it like that for those who don't know, right? But bottom line, there's a public prayer given by the men, something given by the women. That happens in West Africa. That doesn't happen anywhere else, right? And that's not against the Quran. And it's not against Islam. What it's against is the Hadith, right? Where Ishmaelite and an Arabized supremacy is somewhat inserted back into Islam. It's not there at all to begin with in the Quran in any way, shape, or form. The Quran is a very when you actually understand how the Quran is written, it's not an Arab supremacy book in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's an Abraham subservience book, in the sense to where it says, like, bottom line it doesn't even say the religion of Muhammad once, not once. It says the religion of Abraham, the religion of Abraham, the religion of Abraham. These are the ways of Abraham, that kind of stuff. And it's not meant to be anything for an Israelite to have to follow. In fact, the Quran specifies within itself that Israelites are supposed to remember their covenant, follow their laws, keep their Sabbath, follow their prophets, and that the Quran is a book of remembrance for them to do so. Not to follow the Quran, because there's differences in jurisprudence for a Muslim to an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? Or for someone who follows Muhammad as a prophet to an Israelite. And there's a reason for this. What they have in common is the Torah, right? In the sense to where Ishmaelites should follow, and Arabs should follow, Arabians should follow the Torah of Moses, and they do. Like when you look at the Quran, it says that the Torah was a criterion. It was a statute book and a mercy that came down before the Quran. It was what the Quran, the Quran says that it's a criterion and a statute book as well, right? But it doesn't say that it's above the Torah. It says it's the guardian of the Torah, the guardian of the previous scriptures. And when you understand the two together, they're both criterions together. It says that first, that the Torah came down for a guidance and a mercy. And second, that the Quran did the same thing. But when you understand what it says about the Quran, it says that the Quran came down as an Arabic confirmation to what was in the Torah. An Arabic confirmation. It's not above it in any way, shape, or form. in the Quran, there's this concept of holding fast to the rope of God. And there's also this concept of people of the book, people who aren't just Muslims and people who aren't just Israelites. These are Nazarenes, these are Jews, these are Sabians. When I say Nazarenes, people think of Christians, but the word used in the Quran is Nazarenes. I'm just going to say Nazarene. So these are Nazarenes, Jews, Christians, Sabians, the Magians, which are like the Midianites, etc. You know what I'm saying? And also you have the Muslims, right? The people of Ishmael, right? The people of Muhammad and whatnot. In the Quran, it specifies that Abraham and Ishmael prayed for Ishmael's people to get a prophet at one point in time. And so they get their prophet. It's not Muhammad is not ever in the Quran said to be a prophet for Israelites, in the sense to where they're supposed to follow what he's saying above any other prophet of Israel. That claim is never made in the Quran at all. What the claim is, again, is so it says that the Quran is a mercy for mankind. The Torah was not said to be a mercy for mankind. It's said to be a mercy and a guidance, right? And the reason why the Torah is just a mercy and a guidance, and the Quran is a mercy and guidance for mankind, is this: the Torah is meant for Israelites. Israelites are meant to follow the Torah and be a light to the world. Israelites are meant to do that. Ishmaelites and Arabians are meant to follow the Quran. And in doing so, the mercy for the world is they can watch both groups of people. They can watch both books in action, and see the rope of God between them that connects them, and be like, oh, this is the basic truth of things. I have one that came first, and I have the confirmation saying the same thing, and I got these two groups of people walking in the path of Abraham. The whole point is they both confirm the concept of Abraham, the religion of Abraham. And a lot of people have an issue with this, right? Whether you be Jew, Christian, or Muslim, right? The Muslims have a problem with me saying, "Oh, no, Ishmael's on top. No. He's got to be on top. You can't say he's subserving this concept of Abraham and Isaac, because I'll throw it out there like that, right? And I'll explain this in a second, because I'll do it like this, right? When I talk to a Muslim, and a Muslim's like, "Oh, no, this is all about Ishmael," I'm like, "No, is it really? Oh, okay. Let's walk through this. Let's talk about Hajj, for instance. What's the whole purpose of Hajj? Like, what does Hajj even signify?" Now, when I start talking to Muslims, they'll be like, "Oh, it signifies this inner journey that you got of recognizing what these people went through and trying to walk through that journey." But I'll get all kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. But what marks the beginning of this? Like, what's the event that starts this whole thing off? Let's go to the Torah. The Torah breaks down the concept of the Torah, which the Quran confirms, right, as a criterion, as a statute book. Now, first of all, most Muslims don't even know that the Torah is confirmed as a criterion within the Quran. They're going to be all in my comment section like, "Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And on a whole nother video, I'm gonna give all kind of notes. I'm just freestyling right now. I got the notes for this, but I'm just going off the cuff right now, just because I'm feeling the rush of blood to the head right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go more thorough later, right? But my Muslim brethren, they'll be like, "What you talking about? This is all about Ishmael." All right, cool. So when you go to the Torah, right, the whole reason why you're running from this hill, you're running from that hill, all this, that, and the third, right, looking for water, all these things there, right, is because Ishmael mocked Isaac, and Sarah kicked him and moms out the camp, and said, I'm not gonna have this cat sharing in with the inheritance of my son. And so Abraham was tested. He had to send away his firstborn son and the lady of whom he fathered him by, right? Torn up about this whole thing, right? But he sends them away. She confirms, like, "Hey man, if God tells you to do this, it's cool," right? An angel comes and speaks to her. there's divine intervention, we'll say, right? And everybody's good, right? And so Hajj marks this whole thing, the fact that Ishmael was separated and that there was divine intervention, etc., right? It does Hajj. The whole point of Hajj doesn't overwrite that situation. It doesn't say, "Oh, Ishmael's now on top." No. Again, understand what that is. It marks the whole bit to where Isaac's no. This covenant here, nope, that's particularly for Isaac. Does Ishmael get a covenant? Yeah, he gets 12 princes. Go holler at my Shia brothers, right? My Shia brothers will tell you, like, yeah, this is where we get the concept of the 12 imams from. It's from the 12 princes in the Torah, right? But it's a prince is lower than a king, right? The covenant of kingship sticks with Israel, right? Cool. For instance, like in the Quran, it breaks down all the Israelite prophets and whatnot that they follow, right? Not all of them, but it lists a bunch of them, right? But it says that at the end of time, that another, again, because Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus, is an Israelite prophet in the Quran, right? It says that an Israelite prophet is going to come at the end of time. Not an Ishmaelite prophet, an Israelite prophet. He's the last prophet coming in the Quran. Damn, what you like? A lot of Muslims are like, oh yeah, Muhammad is the last divine messenger. Not in the Quran, it's not. So I'm what you call a Quranist Muslim and a Karaite Israelite. I only follow the book. I don't follow the commentaries. I don't follow the hadith. I don't follow none of that stuff. Like, just like as an Israelite, I don't follow the Talmud. That's not part of the Maghrebin way of being, is following the Talmud. Just like the philosophers don't follow the Talmud, right? Just like most Israelites in Africa don't follow the Talmud. That's something that came in with the Sephardim, right? I don't rock with that. I don't rock with the hadith, because the Moors didn't rock with the hadith. When the Israelites and Moors met with each other, they did not have the hadith. They had the Quran in one hand, they had the Torah in the other, and they got down. They did work. You feel what I'm saying? That's how I get down as an Orthodox Moor. I have the Torah in one hand, I have the Quran in the other. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I'm saying this. Also, another way that you can recognize the fact that there's no Ishmaelite or Arabite supremacy within this scroll is the fact that at the end of, I believe, Ramadan, I might have my feast mixed up, because I do this sometimes and I get dyslexic sometimes. But at the end of one of the major feasts, I'll say it like this: it's commemorated by the sacrifice of a lamb. By the sacrifice of a lamb, it's divided into thirds. A third goes to the poor, a third goes to your family, a third you keep, right? And it's meant to commemorate the sacrifice of Isaac being offered by Abraham. Now, Muslims via the hadith will tell you, oh, this is Ishmael being offered. Go to the Quran itself. As a matter of fact, this is one I will cite some verses for. Give me a quick second, real quick. Hold on. So if you go to Surah 37, ayah 104 to 113, it explains this whole story of the offering, etc. Right? Now, in the Quran, you're going to see, depending on what version you read, you're going to see Ishmael's name in brackets or in parentheses, i.e., it's not there in the Arabic, right? But if you read all the way down to verse 113, you will see Isaac's name mentioned specifically. So a lot of Muslims try to throw the okie doke on you, like, oh, see, well, it's Ishmael, not Isaac. No. It doesn't make any linguistic sense if you put Ishmael's name anywhere in the place with brackets and then also say Isaac's name. Makes no sense. Basically, you're saying that Isaac, when you read everything in context, you're basically saying that Isaac got blessed because Ishmael got attempted to be sacrificed. It makes no sense. And again, Ishmael's name is nowhere in the Arabic of the scroll there. So there's just that. Another way you know it's not an Ishmaelite supremacy book, right? Not an Arabite supremacy book, right? Not the Quran. The Hadith are 100%, but not the Quran. Is that the Quran tells you that you need the previous scriptures in order to understand clarity in the Quran. Surah 10, ayat 94. This is one of my main verses as a Quranist. I'm trying to understand what's in the Quran. Is the fact that it says that if you are in doubt about what's being revealed to you, i.e. what's in the Quran, go to the people of previous scripture so that they can clear it up for you, right? For clarity. Go to the people of previous scripture for clarity, is what it said. And so when I understand that it's talking about criterions and all this other type of stuff and clarity, it's stipulating that they go together. And in fact, I'm supposed to use those books as my hadith and not the hadith of man. I'm supposed to go to the scrolls of prophets and the Israelite prophets at that to get my stuff clarified. Think about that. It's saying to go to the Israelite prophets to get the scrolls clarified, to get the Quran clarified. So like you got Hajj commemorating the separation of Ishmael, and particularly in the covenant, right? You also have with Isaac being set on top as the king, Ishmael getting the princes, right? And again, go how the Shias about that. They confirm the 12 princes, right? Again, the last day of Hajj is celebrated by sacrificing and feasting of remembrance, in remembrance of Abraham offering Isaac to God and Isaac being spared, right? Surah 37, ayat 104 through 113. And Surah 10, ayat 94. You have to get clarity from the Quran. Like if you have an issue with what you're reading, you're supposed to get clarity within the previous scriptures, i.e. the Israelite scriptures. For instance, a lot of people think that it says that you can beat your wife in the Quran. It says nothing of the sort in the Arabic. Nothing. It's like the word there is wa'id rabuna, and it can mean the base of a daraba can mean either to strike or to set forth from. To strike or to set forth from. So for instance, if I or a brother, another Muslim say like, oh, okay, we disagree on this. What the Quran says to do is to go to the previous scripture and get clarity. So when I go to the criterion of the Torah and I see what it says there in the same situation, it says, no, not to strike the woman, but to set forth from her and to start a bill of divorcement. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. You got clarity. Nothing to fight on. Via the instructions of the Quran. You go to the previous scripture, you get clarity, it's done. You wash your hands. And like I said, if it was a book of Ishmaelite supremacy, the last and final prophet within the book would be an Ishmaelite prophet. Surah 43, ayat 61, it breaks down. It's Isa alayhi salam. It's an Israelite prophet. So do Israelites need the Quran? No. Ishmaelites need the Quran. Arabians need the Quran. The seed of Ishmael needs the Quran. However, if I'm an Israelite and I don't know who I am, I'm lost in the sauce, and I run up on the Quran, not the Hadith, but I run up on the Quran and I read the Quran, and I know and I feel like I'm an Israelite or something like that, right? I already know that I'm an Israelite. If I know I'm an Israelite and I grab that Quran is going to tell me to follow the laws of Israel. It's going to tell me to remember my covenant with Israel. Remember my covenant as Israel, the Most High. Excuse me. It's going to tell me to. It's going to tell me to keep the Sabbath. A lot of people don't understand that. Let me get that scroll real quick. Hold on real quick. People don't catch that one. Oh, where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Give me 2 seconds, right? Here we go. Surah 7, ayah 163. There's a scroll about keeping the Sabbath. There's a scroll there, Surah 3, ayah 93, right? Where the prophet's telling people, Muhammad's telling people, read the Torah. Like, he's challenging the Israelites to read the Torah if they're truthful, right? He's telling people of Scripture, you have nothing until you uphold the law of the Torah and the gospel. He even tells Israelites, check this out, man. If you're sleeping on Jesus, man, you're sleeping on one of your own prophets in the scroll. You know what I'm saying? It says this is where a lot of people get it mixed up, right? Where for Muslims it says one of the an excellent pattern for you is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? It also says this. It says the same thing. There has already been for you an excellent pattern in Abraham and those with him. Surah 60, ayat 4. And then it also says that Isa alayhi salam, that Jesus is the best pattern for an Israelite to follow. For an Israelite to follow. Not Muhammad. You got Jesus and Abraham you're working with. When you really understand the tone and tenor of this book, of the Quran, from a Quranist point of view, and particularly from an Israelite point of view, and I'll tell you like this: you should, like, if you don't know the Torah, the Quran don't make sense in any way, in any way, shape, or form. And I had Muslim brothers start to tell me that. You know what I'm saying? They were like, "Look, man, I've been Muslim my whole life, and I'm hearing you talk about the Quran, and I'm starting to understand that as a person of the previous scripture, i.e., an Israelite, you have a better frame of reference for understanding this book than I do, because they get it from the Hadith perspective. My Hadith is the Torah and the Gospel. You feel me? The books that the Quran says it confirms. So, for instance, when I read the Quran, I don't say what the Hadiths say, because I see what it says in the Arabic directly and how it relates to the Bible. For instance, does Jesus die on the cross in the Quran? Yes, he does, 100%. The Hadiths say he didn't die on the cross. No one can show me that in the Arabic. And when we talk about it, we argue it. They're like, "Whoa, yeah, you can't show it to me because it's not there." I confirm that again. Jesus died on the cross in the Quran. Is Jesus the spiritual Son of God in the Quran? 100%. What the Quran does is it clarifies that he's not the physical Son of God, and that God did not physically father him, nor can you give birth to the God of the universe. No physical human being can give birth to the entirety of what God is. That's what it clarifies. It does, again, the story of being born of a virgin, being a spirit from God, being a word from God, all that's in being the Messiah, all that's in the Quran. The only thing it confirms is the fact that he's not the physical seed of God, that God does not have DNA, that God doesn't have blood, that God did not physically come down and copulate with Mary to make a child. Go ask any Muslim, do you believe Jesus is the spiritual Son of God? They're like, yeah. They're like, I don't know. I won't argue with you on that. You're talking about, like, and for instance, go throw like a Benai Elohim name at him, right? Like, oh, like, yeah. You talking about Benai Elohim? Yeah. Son of God? Yeah, go ahead. I take it one step further. Right? And no Muslim, a Muslim can't challenge you on this, right? I take Muslims as a Muslim to Surah 3, Daniel 3, Daniel chapter 3, verse 25. Where it says, definite article, the Son of God. And the word there for God is Allah. The Aramaic equivalent, the deity, to the Arabic Allah. Now, this is another point that Ron Dalton tried to point out about the name of God in the Quran, saying that this is a different name. And this one, I'm going to definitely drop some stuff on, but I'm going to screen share on a whole nother day and make a big presentation about this. I might just make a video about this in and of itself, right? But I'm going to mention it here. You know what? I'll do that after. I'm going to make a small video after this one and mention and screen share it and show all that type of stuff, right? But just I'm going to break something down, right? So Yud Hey Waw Hey is in the Quran, and a lot of people don't know that. And the name of Yah, the proper name of Yah, is in the Quran. A lot of people don't know that. And I'm going to explain how this matches up with the Torah in a second. But I can tell you that as somebody of Israelite descent, if that name wasn't in the Quran, I wouldn't even mess with it. It's not asking you to understand. It's not asking you to pick up another name. In fact, it's asking you to understand names that have already been said. For any Israelite, I want you to go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 15 through 17. And I want you to understand that you're going to see the Hebrew equivalent to the Arabic word Allah, Elawah or Eloh or Eloha. H433 in the Strongs. Please go check it out. It says it's the prolonged emphatic of the word El. like the Most High God, Elyon El, right? That Elohah is the prolonged emphatic of the word El. And when you look at it in the Strong's Concordance and you look in the Hebrew section, it means the deity. And if you drop down in the notes, it'll show you that in Arabic, it's the same as Allah. So H433, Elohah, H426, that word in Daniel 3:25, Elah, and the word Allah are all the same word. One is Hebrew, one is Aramaic, and one is Arabic. And like it says, it's an Arabic confirmation to the Torah. So you find the word Allah, but you also find these words for El Hayyu and Huwa El Hayyu, which is where I'm saying you get the Yud Hey Waw Hey from. Let me break this down real quick. So people have heard this concept of a shahada, right? Saying La ilaha illallah. There is no God, there is no deity except the deity. There is no God except the God. La ilaha illallah. Now, most Muslims do not know what I'm about to tell you right now. That there is not that there's a shahada given to more than just Allah in the Qur'an. And B, there is a shahada given to a triunity in the Quran. I'll say it like that. There's a shahada to the one God. There's a shahada to the one God by another name, and there's a shahada to the one God in three formats. And it says in English, there is no God except Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer. God, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer. That's three in one. Now watch this. The word for ever-living, El Hayyu. The is El, right? So Hayyu. Ever-living. It's also put Hayy once. This is the Arabic equivalent to the word Hayya. Hayya. Strong's H1961, the Hayya. You see, this is one everybody knows, right? From Exodus 3:14. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. Hayya, Hayya. This is the name that the Most High tells Moses, Hayya. That's one of the attributes, one of the names of Allah in the Quran. Not only is it a name of Allah in the Quran, there's a shahada said to this name by itself. I'll drop the surah in the ayat in the next video I do, right? But by itself, it's given a shahada. Not even to Allah, but by itself, it's given a shahada. So you have Allah getting a shahada, you have El Hayyu getting a shahada, and then you also have Allah, El Hayyu as the ever-living, and I'll give you the third name in the next video, but it means the sustainer. So the God, the ever-living, the sustainer. That's a triunity right there, and a shahada given to it. Now, how do you get the Yud Hey Waw Hey? So when you understand how it's written in Arabic, it says there is no deity except Him, capitalized, the ever-living. So when you understand how it's written in Arabic, like He, the ever-living, is actually one term. Or Him, the ever-living, is one term. Or if you really want to get down to it, it says He lives. He lives. Or Him that lives. And so when you look at it, the way Huwa and Hayyu are written in Arabic, it's Yud, Hey, Waw, Hey, written backwards. Huwa, you take out the vowels, HW. Hayyu, take out the A and the U. Huwa, HW, Hayyu, HY. Yud, Hey, Waw, Hey, backwards. and it means the same thing. Go look up Haya. Go look up Yehovah. Go look up Yahweh, Yahweh. Go look up all that, right? It's the same thing as He, the ever living. Same concept. Something that continually exists. The existing one, for instance, as it says, like as it says in the Strong's, but the concept of it is it's constantly existing. It doesn't ever not exist. It doesn't ever not exist. That name's there. That name is there. I'm gonna leave it right there, family. I just wanted to do a quick little build on the fact that this is not, you know what, let me finish on this, right? Like, so on the names of Hayu and Eloah, right? So there's literally there's a couple places where you can look up this Eloah name, right? One place I love to send people is like I said, Deuteronomy 32, 15 through 17. I like to send people to Proverbs 30, verses 4 and 5. In terms of being the proper name of God, it asks the question, what's the name of God and what is the Son's name? And then gives you the name of God in the next verse. It says, every word of Eloah is pure. And then in Psalms 18:31, it says, for who is God, Eloah, save the Lord, Yahweh? Or who is this rock, save our God, Elohim? So there's an equivalence there between the two. So I want all my Israelite brothers to take what I'm saying into account and just check it out. Please just check it out. I'm going to be going in on this for quite a bit because I back what Ron Dalton's doing. I like what he's doing in terms of waking our people up to this concept of Hebrews to Negroes concept, because Moors are Hebrews as well. Israelites are not the only Hebrews out there. Moors are Hebrews as well. And there's a lot there that I agree with in what he's saying. The only thing that I want to correct here is the fact that there shouldn't be any beef between an Israelite and a Moor. There should be no beef with somebody holding the Torah and holding the Qur'an. And if anybody's beefing, please send them my way because they go together. And I'm going to continually do my best to try to show how they go together and they don't conflict with each other. The Quran does not ask an Israelite to change any one of their laws in any way, shape, or form. And I'm definitely going to go into that on another build. But to answer the question, no, an Israelite does not need the Quran. It's not a necessity in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's more so a necessity for the Arabians, for the Ishmaelites, and for the world and whatnot. However, there are things within the Quran that clarify many things for Israelites who are waking up, etc. And it's not a negative thing. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of pushback from people who are on this. Oh, there's a different view of Jesus concept. And I'm going to respectfully say this: there's going to be a different concept of Jesus in the Quran than what you came up knowing. But is it a different concept of Jesus than what's in the actual gospel? Let's have that conversation. Because again, I'm the Muslim saying Jesus died on the Quran and that he is that he died on the cross and he is the Son of God. So understand, and he is the Messiah. I'm not averse to that in any way, shape, or form. I'm very, like, in fact, the sect of Islam that I came out of was very firm on the fact that of all those things I talked about, right? So let's have that conversation, because I feel like banging on each other's religion and books is going to be antithetical in this whole waking up process. We could get turned towards each other, and that's not a good thing for us, for the Most High, or for the world for that matter, because the world's supposed to be watching us wake up in a unison. That's the blessing for them, is us waking up in a unison. That's the marvelous work and the wonder for them and for us. The Most High does not intend for us to wake up in a division or derision. So if there's Moors banging against the Torah, you see me going. If there's Muslims going against the Torah in the gospel, you see me go at them. You see me go at them. And the same token, if I see Israelites banging on the Quran, I'm going to go at them. But again, it's not a negative thing. Let's just clear this up so we don't beef, and let's just wake up together. And this is somebody who's a Moorish American Muslim of Israelite descent. I am a Muslim. There's people. There's people in my family who descend from both sides, right? Of what happened in the diaspora. Both went into slavery, both came to this country, etc. Right? We know for a fact that 1/3 of the slaves that came here were Muslim. We can't front like that didn't happen. So if we're fronting like that, they're not Muslim, right? And that they're not Hebrews, right? Like if you want to tell me like a Fulani dude, for instance, is an Israelite, right? But wasn't ever a Muslim. That's not accurate. That's not accurate. We got not everybody was an Israelite over in Africa when we got taken over. We know that. We know that. Not everybody was rocking that. And we also know that some people who were considered somewhat Israelite or had an Israelite culture, they converted to Islam. We know that for a fact. And we can also see, and this is what I'm saying, family, we can see when the Israelites and Moorish were in league together, that wasn't nobody messing with them. Wasn't nobody messing with them militarily, economically, spiritually. And that's the one where we need to start rocking together, is spiritually. When I see people banging on the Quran talking about this is an antichrist religion, I immediately stop and say, who in Africa historically ever said that Islam was an antichrist religion? When the Muslims went to Ethiopia, did the people in Ethiopia say this is an antichrist religion, or did they let them stay there? When the Israelites opened the door to when they went to go ask the Muslims and the Moors to come help them out, and they opened the doors to Toledo, did they say this is an antichrist religion? That concept of Islam being an antichrist religion is not something that came from our people, right? That's something I respectfully want to challenge coming out of any Israelite's mouth, because that comes straight out of the colonial slave master. That's their concept. They wanted to keep us divided on again, because when we were unified together as Israelites and Moors, we were kicking people out of Spain. So conceptually speaking, it doesn't work out too well for them if we're on the same page together on a spiritual level. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get into this on a whole nother level, but I'm gonna leave it right here for right now. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you enjoy whatever part of the day you have left, and you'll probably see me on here a couple more times making some more videos about this in the near future, because this is something very near and dear to my heart. I don't like seeing my people divided, particularly over things that we shouldn't be divided over. And us calling on the same God in a slightly different dialect and beefing over that is not something we should be, right? The Quran is not the enemy of the Torah, and is not the enemy of Israelites. If anything, it is the friend and the companion thereof. And it actually says it's the guardian thereof. When you look into the Quran, it says it's the guardian thereof. And so anybody trying to use that guardianship status as a status of being above something, no. It's like the security guard for the Torah. It's personal security for the Torah. Please understand that. With that, family, I say shalom alaikum. I say salam alaikum. I say peace and love.